They don't hear me though. But they don't hear me though. But they don't hear me though. When I hop on the beat, I'm gonna be something like an oddity prodigy. Oh my god, he be rocking these beats of modern day Socrates. I'm unlocking the lock with no key. I'm not what they thought I would be. No mockery, fucking to see my kinetic curiosities. Twilight zone beside my bone. I'm split. I need like 5 mics on inside my dome. There's no lights on. You get what I mean? I'm bye gone. When I write my song, really wanna bite on like snakes. I say better get pythons. When I write my wrong, despite how long they never wanna break or be bygones. Out of the comic, always thinking of new material. Out of the box, the way I kill these beats is serial. Even though the verse is hot and blasting through your stereo. They don't really hear me though. 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 They don't really hear me though.
Yeah, it's time to clock in again, hop in the wave, get to the booth, make draws start dropping again, stopping, never been no option, cause my competition been flopping again, topping the 10 best rappers coming out of my city, got them all sobbing again, plotting to win, but I got a question, when is hip-hop gonna start hip-hopping again, Haters mobbing again, shocking to see them all start flocking again. I'm gonna get the mic cocked, but I can't let y'all's blood get on my conscience again. I'd rather fuck your girl and after take the bitch shopping again. And she gonna come back knocking again, sopping wet, gotta start mopping again. Girls guess they never give a fuck unless I'm popping pills, sipping lean. Y'all say anything so you can cop a deal, so it seem. I've been proud of all my shit, I keep it real, being me. But if I gotta really rap, I shoot to kill, R.I.P. And they don't even know. Been giving y'all this heat, you sleeping and it really show. It's time to wake them up with shit that make the speakers blow. But they don't really hear me though.
They don't really hear me though. They don't really hear me though. They don't really hear me though. They don't really hear me though. They don't really hear me though. They don't really hear me though. They don't really hear me though. They don't really hear me though.
Welcome everybody to Tip of the Spear. How is everybody doing? All right, let's stellar, awesome. Thumbs up.
Bro, with that music coming in, no complaints. I'm pumped. I'm ready to
That's a
fucking rock
Marine,
and
bro.
roll, man.
That's a Marine. No better way to start it off.
He's definitely got some good rhythm there.
As a Marine, it would be crayons, but that's besides the point.
Nothing wrong with that, but damn, you just made me like want a snack now.
There you
Right?
go. See? Here's my point.
Just for you, Yogi. Just for
Yes.
you.
Oh, looky there.
So the intro video is Marine Corps Veteran Theory with Berserk. Big Homies Records is the label that are signed to in Salt Lake City, Utah. And the song is Hear Me Though. And you can find it on all streaming platforms. Go check them out, give them a follow because they're both amazing artists. And then I want to give a shout out to the people that's in chat right now. We got Mike McClune, DJ Play Nice, Joe Glenn, Max Bland. Who else did I see in there? I think
Good
it's
people, Max. Yeah, Joe. Good people on there, man.
man. I
Welcome,
love it.
everybody.
Welcome. So let's go around the table and see how everybody's doing. We'll start with Sam and work our way around. After Travis, go Yogi and end with Miss Carol Lee down there.
I'm doing good, man. I got 5 side dishes already prepped and ready for the Gluttony Fest tomorrow. Had a good interview podcast this morning with Philippa, and yeah, I'm ready for bed. I'm sure she is too. I mean, it's midnight over there. So.
Yeah, it's midnight where she's at. All right, Miss Tab, you're up.
I'm just excited to be here. I think it's been like 2 or 3 months since I've seen you guys.
I know we missed you.
I missed you. I've just been busy, but I'm here.
I hear you. All right, Travis.
Well, simply put, I'm just in touch with my inner savage. I'm feeling very savage tonight.
Nice.
I feel like you just dropped that a couple decimals too.
Well, I can go very low if you'd like.
Yeah, baby.
Right.
How low can you go?
That late night radio talk, baby.
Nice and smooth.
Nice. Yogi, how are you, sir?
Bro, I'm doing fantastic. As everybody already knows, I just recently retired a couple of weeks ago and enjoying the retire life, this transition, and putting things into different perspective. I know I've been talking about transition for 2 years, and it finally happened, so it's amazing.
Nice. I love it. I'm glad you're doing great in your retirement, because a lot of times veterans, we lose that sense of purpose, that camaraderie, and we fall into a rut. And it sounds like you hit the door running and haven't looked back. So that's friggin' phenomenal, sir. That is phenomenal. All right, you're up, Miss Bagley.
I'm doing great. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you for having me. And I look forward to the conversation and see what happens.
Awesome. All right, Mr. Brian.
Hey, man, I'm doing amazing. Can't complain. And if I did, no one would give a hoot. You know what I mean? So let the fun begin.
Nice. All right, Miss Carol Lee, you are up.
Well, this is the first time I get to sit down all day. And we do homemade pizzas for Thanksgiving as our tradition. So I have been prepping and making dough and all of that all day long, short of the time I had to work. And now I'm actually outside of this. I think I'm going to go watch some what is that? WKRNB or what is that?
WKRP.
That one. WKRP reruns.
For the turkey drop.
Well, after Travis, and that late night voice, that's what my mind flashed to.
No, I hear you there. So today was a busy day for me. I got up at 06, was at the VA hospital at 08 for PT. Came back from there and had our interview with Miss Philippa Bagley there, and we did her podcast today, so that'll be dropping in February. Then I had a 1 o'clock appointment. They came and brought another torture device for my knee, so I have that here as well. Then I had a 4 o'clock therapy appointment, and I just been running all day. But overall, since last time we were all together, it's been not too bad, really. There's been some ups and downs. My daughter got into EKU. She got accepted to EKU and plus a scholarship to EKU, which is friggin' phenomenal. So we're working on either Army or Air Force ROTC. We got to figure out which one she's going to go into, and then go from there. So she'll be graduating this year and ready to start her college journey. Super excited for that, and ready to start the tip of the spear, because a lot has happened since we were last together. And the big turkey in the room, I'll use that because Turkey Day tomorrow. Elections that just happened. That's the big turkey in the room right now. A lot of people are happy. A lot of people are pissed off and moving out of the country. Some celebrities have decided to jump ship. I think there was other reasons why she jumped ship, but you guys probably know who I'm talking about when I say she. So I'll call her out. Ellen DeGeneres and her wife moved out of the country. She said because of Trump, but everybody knows that it was because of the Diddy videos, because he was real big in that. So, what do you guys think about the election? I mean, how do you think it went overall? Not who won, but like the whole process. Who wants to take it?
And obviously, like, I can only say so much in general, but I think like there's a huge issue in general when the people don't get to pick their candidate. So specifically on the Democratic Party side, and again, for people who don't know me, I don't believe in a loyalty to a party. We've had this conversation here multiple times, but the people didn't even get to pick the nominee. And so I think from the get-go, from that, like, that's a huge issue, right? Like, what did you expect when people didn't pick who it was? And this is, again, not even saying who it was, but when you don't get to pick and they decide for you, does that not go against like the democracy and what we're supposed to be doing? And I think that it's just like, and I don't speak for my generation, but I think my generation is kind of like, well, like, what else are you going to throw at us? Like, what else are you going to tell us we have to do, and we have to do this, but then not allowing us to do the stuff and the things. So that's I won't say much on this topic, but that's my for that.
I got you.
I think it was crazy, the states that flip vote from the last election, right? And if you look at that, those states that flipped vote, whether it's this reason or not, started requiring voter ID. Right. And then the number of votes overall went down by a lot, like a lot. So you go from, the first Black president to ever be elected, run for office, gets X amount of votes, and then Biden gets 20 million votes more than what he did. Where did all those votes go this time? Because they're not there. Right.
Well,
so
I don't think that's as surprising, again, when like people didn't even get to pick who the candidate was. And so I think that it's a little less surprising realistically, because I do think so many people are like, what's the point? It doesn't feel like there's a point when like you're not, like, when it feels like your voice isn't being heard. And this is like, I'm all for voting. Again, we have this conversation all the time, but like, I don't think it's as surprising. I think that, again, that's the narrative that they've made it seem like, that the world is ending and we all have to go. And then there's so many people that are like, you've been telling us the world has been ending for like our whole lifetime.
Well, since 2000, right? That's when everything was going to go.
Well, even before that, because remember Y2K? Like, I remember being a kid.
That's what I'm saying. That's like, 2000.
That's So again, I'm not as surprised as the numbers, because I know that there are people who just didn't. Because why?
Yeah.
I think as an go on.
No, you go ahead.
Go for it.
Yeah, as an outsider looking on, what I found was when the SIF went to Harris, just observing what was being reported is they were running on a program of, we're not him and we bring joy. And actually there was no substance behind what they were pushing.
Yeah.
Obviously abortion, which I know is a big thing for the US, but and so in Europe, we obviously probably more closely aligned with the Democrats, because although for you they're quite on the left, for us they're quite central. And so Trump seems more extreme, but when you look at what the narrative was from both sides, is I can see why Trump gets voted in from a purely, he's a good communicator, he speaks to people, and he did have policies, albeit some of them felt like they were crazy ones, but at least you knew where you were. And I can totally get how you had no choice. Joy isn't a policy. Not being him is also not a policy. It felt like there was an almost arrogant assumption over people not liking him, but it felt to me that party hadn't realized how fed up people are. Clearly what they were looking for wasn't being provided, and so it didn't entirely surprise me that it went the way it did.
As for me, I'm gonna piggyback off of what Tab said. I when I go to vote, I don't vote Democrat, don't vote Republic. I kind of vote on the person's political stance on veterans, on how they might help veterans, is what I kind of do. So I'm not going to say who I voted for this year, but needless to say, I agree with Tab when we don't get to pick who our person that is going to represent us. I mean, the the Republican Party and the Democrat Party gets to pick that. We don't. Which
I mean, but to be clear though, the Democratic Party did that in the last election by 2 times with Bernie Sanders.
Yep.
Both times Bernie Sanders was beating the brakes off Hillary Clinton, and they gamed the system to get rid of him. So this has been 3 times now. This is not just a one and done thing. And this is, I think, to Tab's point, where this has just been a prolonged thing of, we're going to tell you, kind of like the military would tell us, we're going to tell you what to think and what's good for you. And people said, you know what? Not anymore. It was just an interesting time where people said, you know what? I'm done. I'm good.
Yeah, but at least Bernie was on the ballot during the things. She wasn't even on a ballot.
That's great.
All of this happened after the primaries, right? So it's like just throwing a candidate that wasn't even on a ballot anywhere.
Well, they didn't host a primaries for the Democratic Party.
Yeah.
Biden's the pick.
Yeah.
They didn't and then they were like, oh, we can't go with him. Oh, now we're just going to say it's her. And so, like, again, and as Travis was saying, again, like, there was so much more momentum, like, when it was Bernie with Bernie, and yet somebody else like, again, it's just like, that's why I'm not surprised that so many people didn't vote, because this is the same thing you've said, and you think that saying this is going to make us do it. And it's like, that's not a driving force.
Yeah. And you got to change your narrative too. Just don't change your accent when you're speaking in the different areas. You've got to realize that the people that you're talking to, right? Everybody is going to relate to you in a different way, and just changing your accent and keeping the same verbiage for every speech isn't it.
No, I did notice today, they kept saying Harris was ahead in all these polls. And now it's coming out that I don't know if it's her aides or not are coming back, and it's coming out that they blatantly lied about that. And in doing so, they ended up with all these donations, probably $1.6 billion, and they're 20 million in the hole. And then today, did you hear the news about what happened to all of not necessarily all, but a lot of Trump's cabinet picks? They got swatted.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes. Like bomb threats called and the whole 9 yards. One of them had, the husband and wife and their 2 or 3 little kids. And it's just horrible what's happening with that.
Oh, man.
Hey, Theory.
Oh, you missed it, brother.
You missed it, sir.
I mean, what did I miss?
Your video at the beginning.
That was fire.
It was really good.
Hey, thank you.
Just
which one did you show him?
Hear me though.
Yeah, it's a good one. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, sorry. I got a new gun case for my house. My neighbor's brother was giving away a free one. So I was like, yes, I will definitely take that.
Can't pass up free.
Yeah, so I've been reorganizing my room and whatnot while my wife's out at work, and she's gonna come home and see a gigantic fucking gun case. And then my nightstand is no longer in here, and her nightstand is now my nightstand.
Theory. You know what I'm hearing, Theory? You know what I'm hearing? That gun case probably has space in it. So we should probably have more freedom flingers put into it.
Yes, because I only have my one AR in there, and it has.
It shouldn't be alone. It should not be alone.
7 more spaces for 7.
It needs some roommates.
Some more freedom flingers.
I don't want them to get lonely.
Right.
One more question, just before I get too into this: is it Philippa or Philippa?
Philippa or Pippa, if that's easier.
No, Philippa's fine. I just
Ooh, I like Pippa though.
We just know that
That's
Lewis
okay.
is country and he can't pronounce anything. That's what
No.
the problem
I know,
is.
but also like
He
Philippa
also
is a
failed
name that
reading for
confuses
Marine.
Americans for some reason. So I'm totally
Philippa?
used to it.
You confuse me.
When I worked for Lockheed, if I'd ring up the US guys, they'd be like Felipe, Filipa, like they just struggled. So I'm totally used to it. It's fine. So the fact that you're even trying is again amazing. Thank you.
Willis also failed reading for Marines.
Yes.
Twice.
Well,
Several times I'd had to read an article for him.
Yes.
I'm not
Well,
surprised.
Those MCIs, not yours.
Air Wing Marine here.
I wasn't a smart one. I went to infantry, so I wasn't a smart one.
Well, thank you, Philippa.
I'm a
Different
smart one.
smart.
Don't let
Different
those
smart.
Marine Air Wing guys make you think that they're that much more intelligent than the infantry. I'm here to tell you.
They're not.
No, they're most definitely not.
I'm here to tell you they're not, because I served in the infantry for 9+ years and in the air wing for 5. And there are a bunch of idiots over there too.
Yeah.
I mean, probably even more so. They might be book smart, and when it comes to common sense, they have none. So there's that piece.
Dude, I was eye-level avionics in the air wing, and that's the smart side of the air wing.
Supposed to be.
And there's still retards all over.
Yeah.
I don't know.
The only thing they were good for is some good chow halls. That's all.
Oh, I can't use that word. Okay, there's special people. over there.
Oh hell! So you guys that just popped on, we were talking about the election because that's the big turkey in the room at the present moment in time. I was asking everybody what their opinion on how it went. Miss Tab says she doesn't vote left or right. She kind of votes down the middle, and she thinks that we should be able to pick our candidate more than we have been able to. So that's kind of where we're at, just to catch you up.
I agree. I'm not a Democrat or a Republican. I'm more libertarian, I guess you could say. And I mean, down the middle is kind of where I went, but with this election specifically, this is just my personal opinion. I did not think that America made a bad choice as far as the lesser of two evils. There are certain things that you hear in the media about, like this whole Project 2025 thing, and the abortion laws, staying with the states and all that. But I mean, I saw so many people the day that Trump got elected, so many women on my timeline, and my family is hardcore Democrat. So they were all, Kamala Harris out. And there were so many women that were saying, oh, well, which robe should I wear? Because I'm going to start needing to dress like the Handmaid's Tale, and I don't have rights anymore, and blah. And it's like, it's so over the top. And I understand it's a very sensitive subject, and it's a very serious matter, right? I have a wife and 2 daughters that I also am concerned about on that topic. But my whole takeaway was that, like, look, it's been with the states since June of 2022. So nothing is changing as far as it staying with the states. And that is democracy. So, being a threat to democracy as people are labeling Trump, I don't necessarily think that's true. But that's just my takeaway. I think that people were ready for a change. I think that our current administration has failed us dramatically and in multiple ways. And, you just heard it last week with Biden allowing Ukraine to fire U.S. missiles into Russia. And I don't understand how that can happen when we just decided that he wasn't fit to run for office, but we're going to say that he's okay to let another country fire missiles into Russia.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense to me. So, I mean, I just think that I'm hoping that it's a change for the better. I'm optimistic, and I just hope we made the right choice. 80 something % of America also agreed with the turnout of the election. So let's just hope it's for the better.
I personally I personally hate fucking politics. To be honest with you, at this level, I've gotten to hate them to the point because I feel like all it really is at this level is to create division amongst us and make us hate each other and fight against each other. It just, it literally is getting to that level where people hate each other for who they believe in, and then you get labeled a certain way if you believe a certain thing. I honestly have lost all hope in the government. I've lost hope in fucking voting, to be completely honest with you. And to me, politics don't seem to solve shit, but create problems. And having people that sit in office for or sit in a chair for 20 plus years, they aren't for any side. They're in there for their pockets and their money. So
yeah, they stopped being about
for
the people
everybody,
a long time ago.
for everybody that keeps putting their fucking, we all want to sit there and vote for these people and think they're gonna solve your problems, and they really give a shit about you specifically. Yeah, they actually don't. You know what I mean? So I've gotten to that level of I don't really care to put my, go all in on someone and go sit there and tattoo fucking something on me, when I know that 100% they don't. It's just, I don't know. I can't really put like words around it, but I just know that it's a whole division, and I fucking have come to hate it. I used to be all into it, but I have literally come to the level because I've seen so much hate brought from it, so much ugliness, division, all that stuff. I was kind of happy to see that it seems like we're starting to get back to reality, and people are starting to come together again. But fuck, we got a long ways to go. We got a long goddamn ways to go, because
for sure,
and that's a problem. It's foolish that we have been so educated and we have so much things that we can be aware of things to change it all, right? Instead of continue to repeat things that were shitty or go backwards in any of it. You know what I mean? We should always be trying to move forward, give the next generation a better generation, to live in. And that should be the ultimate goal, is trying to make this a better generation for the next people, so they're not all fucking mental cases, so they all don't got all these problems. You know what I mean? Like, it's foolish because there's so much knowledge in our hands, we just don't use it sometimes, or we use it for the wrong reasons. But we can all do something so much more powerful and better for each other if we all literally just fucking kind of put some things aside and realize we all have a lot more in common than we all think.
When it becomes about the money and power versus actually helping the constituents that they're there to help, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah, and I do think one of the things we do have to talk about as being a group of veterans, or I think is important to bring up the conversation that we know is going to happen because we're already seeing it. Trump has said that on day one, he is going to put a transgender ban on the military. That is 15, I'm probably going to get these numbers wrong, but over 15,000 service members who are going to automatically get kicked out of the military at a time when we are in a recruiting crisis. And these are people, service members, who have been serving. They are serving. And I think that's something that we have to bring up, because that to me is absolutely wild. They are already serving. They are serving as they are.
It's no different than the guys that didn't take the shot getting killed.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's just as wild as that fucking jab thing too.
Exactly.
Is all these dudes getting kicked out for that bullshit.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, either way.
And so I think like that's something that like, and it's even more than that, because you look at the legislation that's been put in as well, where they are trying to ban transgender people from all of the restrooms in the Capitol buildings. That means that nobody who's transgender appearing, okay? How would you know somebody's transgender, right? Like, so as long as they appear it, they now have the ability to remove people from Capitol Hill. So if they're advocating for things, if they're doing this, and again, it's these like witch hunt type things that we can't like be for. And especially I think, again, as veterans, at least for me, like something like that, I feel it's like my due diligence to speak out on it, because here are service members who are serving honorably, and you're saying you got to get out. They're already serving. They're there. What is it? be a rational reason because
are
there's
they going to be getting kicked out, or are they going to be like
kicked out like they were
from
previously?
day one, no more enlisted?
No, kicked out like you're gone.
So
out
you're
the door.
admin sept because you're transgender.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yes, they did this before. Same administration.
Because so this isn't a new thing for America or even other countries of going through this period of who do we not like, or who are we afraid of, or who doesn't fit. So you had the McCarthyisms back in the day with the communist kind of witch hunting. But each time, I think this is when, like you say, the veteran community, the service community steps forward and goes, okay, we don't care. Like, we've seen the value of them as serving individuals. Like, I mean, we're not that we're gender blind, but it doesn't matter because you're doing the job that you're trained to do with people who trust you. And that's when this kind of community is amazing.
So I'm just put a Newsweek article in the chat. Oh, I tried putting a Newsweek article in the chat.
I was supposed to say I don't see it.
Well, it says it couldn't be done, but I'll see if I can put in the private chat. But Newsweek is reporting that the plan to remove all transgender people has been dismissed.
Oh, and since when?
This is November 25th.
Yeah, that was like a month, 2 days ago, 3 days ago.
2 days ago, yeah.
So that's no longer happening.
They're saying that it was never really substantiated anyway. So
they did it before. What do you mean?
I'm just saying that the UK Times.
All we could do is wait until he gets in office and see what happens. You know what I mean?
Correct.
All this,
I'm just saying that's one of those.
Everything's just turned on the walls right now. You know what I mean? until
I'm just I'm just saying that's one of those that like you speak out on, right? Because if people want to serve who are already serving, we're in a crisis. Let them fucking serve. Like,
yeah,
they took the oath. Thanks.
It's in the private chat. I don't know why I didn't.
I agree with that, but it's so hard nowadays. It just seems so hard for me to feel like
it's there, Travis.
No matter what administration you have, whether there's Democrats or Republicans in office, it's hard for me to really kind of think that no matter who it is, they don't really have the people's best interest in mind anymore.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter whether it's blue or red. You're never going to be able to make everybody happy. And it's exactly how it is with so many other industries. Also, it's not even just politics. Like you look at the music industry, you look at, really anything. You're never going to make everybody happy, and somebody's going to be disappointed no matter what. So the fact, like Brian kind of voiced it really, really good. And I agree with him. I don't like politics at all. To be completely honest, and people can, disagree with my decision or not. It doesn't matter to me really, because I made the decision, but I didn't even vote. I haven't voted in
same, bro,
years. And that's just because I fully believe that no matter who wins is not going to really have my best interest. And I haven't found or been presented with a candidate that has been worth me going out and potentially even risking my own personal safety for going and writing down your name on a piece of paper. Like it's ridiculous. There was people here in Louisville that were getting killed, and we found bodies wrapped in plastic, and it was all over the Louisville news.
Yeah, it's fucking wild, man.
Yeah,
that's the wild part. That's what I'm saying.
And it's all around election time, so it's like
we've gone stupid.
The media said that it was all Mexican cartel and this and that, and they're but realistically, you don't know. So it's like, somebody could have went and voted for Trump, and all of a sudden, they're dead and wrapped in plastic on the side of 4th Street. You never know. And so I haven't been presented with any candidate that really represents my interest instead of the interest of said party that they represent and the agenda that's being pushed.
Or the lobbyists.
The lobbyists are so bad about it too.
Money, man. It's all about money, bro. At the end of the day, just realize it's all about money.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the whole thing.
That's why you don't get to pick your candidate either, because they got more money. They were able to get more money.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
There's
fucking a whole bunch of candidates, but you don't see them. You don't ever hear about them because they don't got no money.
And I mean,
they got money, they just don't got enough.
Trump was one of those
person who raised the most money didn't win.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
He said the one who raised the most money didn't win. So
yeah,
it's funny because and then the other person who raises the least offers to pay their bills. But I kind of want to just point something out. We spent how many decades in Afghanistan setting up elections, trying to set up prop up a sand democracy there, and we spend billions and billions of dollars. Lost brothers and sisters, lives changed forever, and to set up their elections, and then we the way we act. And I'm not saying we're any better than the people of Afghanistan. I'm not saying that because we have our own issues, but I feel like we have regressed in a lot of different ways, and it's people don't have that ability to listen to an opposite opinion and not have some kind of virtual signal of I have to establish my dominance over you.
It's not civil anymore, bro.
No,
it's gone from civil debates to like, fuck you, I'll fucking kill you.
You're
hate
canceled.
you.
You're canceled,
or you're canceled
on social media. I can't. I even asked. I went as far as asking for like education and guidance on the whole abortion law thing because I didn't know. I'm not a woman, so I don't know everything, and it's not as concerning. I mean, it's still concerning to me as a human being, but I mean, as a male, I don't have babies. I don't get pregnant. I don't have to worry about abortion. And so I'm a lot less concerned than a woman would be about that specific subject. So it's like, I asked for some guidance on my Facebook one day. I posted a status and I'm like, this is not a debate. This is not me bashing any one side. I'm asking, what is the concerns so I know for knowledge purposes and I can be better educated and make a better decision. And this is before
goes against community standards.
No, nothing got flagged on Facebook, but my comment string
they were wild.
into I'm a bigot. I'm ignorant.
I saw that, bro. I was like, gosh, damn.
I must be stupid if I
got
don't.
attacked.
And I'm just like, I can't even ask for knowledge about stuff anymore without.
I think they thought you were being like a smartass with it.
Yeah.
That's why, dude. It's like you're legit trying to. You want to hear other side, right?
Yeah,
and you want to just hear.
I'm trying to gain some insight on the subject. So
shit.
I'm not some ignorant dude just posting random shit on Facebook. And it's like you can't say anything nowadays without somebody else bashing you about something else. Like if I agree with one of Trump's policies, then all of a sudden everybody else in the comments, and these are strangers too, that are like, oh, well, you must be okay with having a pedophile and a rapist in office. And I'm just like, dude, what are you?
Yeah, dude. Oh.
I don't even know what to say anymore. I smile and nod now.
Well, and it's like a conversation to like gain, like not right or wrong. Like that's not like what the goal of a conversation is. It's like to understand somebody else's like perception or experience or whatever. Like that should be the goal. Right.
Yeah.
Like not like I'm convincing you you're right. I'm convincing you you're wrong. It's like, okay, what is your perception, preconceived notion? Can I understand better what that is and why that would be your choice?
Yeah. That's exactly what I was.
And then maybe your personal opinion will change. Maybe not. But when that's the goal, we're also not having like a conversation that people can hear and listen to.
Yeah. Well, it becomes more of a finger pointing match than it does a conversation. And this is coming from somebody I love to debate. But I also love to debate not for the sake of arguing or trolling people, because that's sometimes fun. But and I'm just being honest. But like I love to debate also because I love to learn new things, right? So if I'm debating with somebody on, let's say, Tab, I'm debating with you, like a healthy debate, not like a toxic debate, but like, let's say we were debating on transgender rights, right? Or like transgender.
I don't want to debate with Tab, dude.
Anything like that.
Don't.
but you know what I mean? Like
I just have a conversation.
It's an
Come on.
example.
I know. I
It's
just
an
feel like,
example,
you know,
relax.
It's like I just
man.
throw knives at you. No.
Yeah. No, but like
Knife
if we were
hands. I'm
debating on
sorry.
something like
Like
that,
you get
like
kicked
and,
in the nuts
and
or
I was
something, dude.
talking to you about it, and you were talking back to me, and let's say you hit me with something that I didn't know about before, like a law or some kind of some kind of policy that was put in place, and I didn't know about it, then I can at that point say, oh well, I didn't know that, and then do my research and be like, she was right about this. This is kind of fucked up, and then go about my business and come back to you and say, okay, I researched this and blah, 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 blah. And that's what I was trying to do, because I love to talk with people and have these kind of discussions, as long as it can be a professional conversation that we can have.
It drives me nuts when you ask people about something and all they do is just spew out hate. And it's like,
yeah,
you're not talking about anything other than you hate this person because this or that and the other. You're not saying, like, we're not talking about facts of why you do not like this person. In terms of, I feel like that's the thing. Some people just get on that train of hating someone.
Yeah.
Right. Like their social gathering, whoever they're with, those people hate this person. Right.
Yeah.
And
gosh damn,
they've been brainwashed to do it for years.
God forbid that you're out of the norm, out of your fucking 20 friends you're hanging out with, and you're that one person that disagrees with that 19 other people.
Yeah.
You're going to be pretty much canceled, right?
Yeah, and I think that's where social media really has harmed
it has hurt
our community,
dude, right?
And
because
our country.
It's had an influence, right? And instead of actually people being able to be clearly educated, they go get their education from fucking TikTok or fucking something where, I mean, I love my wife, but sometimes she'll come to me with some shit and I'm like, babe, like, that's some TikTok bullshit right there. Like, I mean, that is some TikTok bullshit.
Yeah. No, and that's the thing I love about my wife, is that she doesn't really care. Like, I mean, she does to a certain extent, but she's like, even from a woman's perspective, she's like, if you want to change your rights on abortion in the States, then go take action on your state legislature.
See, and that's just
and do something like that. And like,
educate yourself.
Yeah, she has a very very centered kind of opinion for a lot of things, almost like how I have. But on the other side of that, I mean, like I said earlier, you could do that about anything. You should have seen what happened with the whole Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef that was going on. The very minute that I say something about Kendrick Lamar posted one of these disses that they were going back and forth doing, all my friends that are pro Drake were calling me, you must love women beaters. You must love this and you must love that. And like, it's like, can't I just like the guy's music? Like, why do I have to be supporting this, that, and the other thing? Like when someone told me that they don't go to Chick-fil-A anymore. I had a girl who legitimately told me that she did not want to be my friend anymore, blocked me on all social media and blocked my phone number because I eat Chick-fil-A. And I was like, why? And she said, because Chick-fil-A gives money to a church that murders gays in Africa. And I was like, I just like their chicken nuggets, dude. Like, what are you talking about right now? How does, like, not to be rude, but like, what does that have to do with why I go to Chick-fil-A to eat their food? Like, I'm not supporting. I'm not at the register saying, hey, make sure this goes to that organization that kills gays in Africa. That's where I want my $20 meal to go, because it's overpriced anyways. But that's where I want my money to go. That I'm not doing that. I just like their nuggets, dude. They have fire. They have fire.
All right, let's see what Travis got to say.
Yeah, go for it, Travis. I know what he's doing over there.
I do too.
So I got two perspectives on this. I got my trial by fire on the election issue when I went on C-SPAN and talked to people who were very anti-Trump, and it was like, hey, we can take it out on this guy. And I was very surprised at the, tunnel vision a lot of people had and a place to air that. But I'm not really worried about the president in this case. I am more concerned about who he recommends for Secretary of Defense. And I think that has a lot more close impact on all of us here than the president. And I live in Massachusetts. I'm a Republican. I voted the way I voted, but I've had people call me up saying, "Hey, man, this Pete Hegseth guy wants to come after people who go to the VA." And I was like, "Oh, here we go." And I'll put the clip of where he's talking about this in the chat. You all can tell me what you think. Watch at your own leisure. On one hand, I watched the clip, and he says that he thinks people overuse the VA, and if you have personal integrity, you should probably not utilize the VA so much. And I'm like, maybe you had health insurance right when you got out of the military, and you can go to your doctor just down the street and get everything taken care of. But I don't know about you all. I have talked to Korean War and Vietnam era veterans who have suffered for decades in silence, with that very same mind thought, Mr. Hegseth, that they shouldn't go and get their injuries taken care of. And the VSO from Abington or Whitman or where I live, we go to their houses and try to tell them this is there for them. Oh, no, I can't do that. They'll think I'm a wimp, or I'm a freeloader, and they'd rather suffer in silence. And I'm like, we're finally starting to get some headway here. We're finally starting to get some people to come here and use the resources that are there for us that we all earned, right? Regardless of what branch of service or what you did, you earned that right. And there you are. And that's your sound clip. Maybe you can go to the doctor and call up your primary care and go and be seen in 20 minutes. Maybe you can, but there are other people who can't. So my call to action is, hey, we got to watch what this guy is doing, because he said, hey, I want to revamp and modernize the VA. And I am like, man, the VA does some things really, really well. I can tell you all personally that the VA took me, who was broken 3 years ago, and rebuilt me to something that's better than I was now, where civilian care would have been like, you know what, you got 12 appointments, you're done. So I want us to watch what this guy does. And he seems to be very highly touted. People like him, but I'm like, hey, forget the president. Look at who he chose and what this guy is trying to do. And he's going to get a free rein to do it. And understand that if you are not calling your senator, congressman, mayor, and complaining about, hey, I'm going to get my VA stuff taken away by this guy, it'll be taken away.
Yep.
And
I don't think he's qualified. I don't think he's qualified either.
Tab, I was going to get into that in a second. I mean, he presents really well. I watched the Sean Ryan interview. I watched a couple of things. I'm like, is he the most qualified one to helm the secretary, the DOD? Is he really the most qualified one? And I have to say no.
And can I say something? Because one of the comments, and I can't let it go, that we got, and then we'll continue on this.
Yeah.
I just have to make the comment that going to combat isn't the only way to have PTSD.
Nope, not at all.
We have to change that perception and that stigma. You can have PTSD from so many different things, and there are so many veterans and service members who kill themselves because they think that because they're struggling with something and they didn't deploy, that they don't rate whatever. So see that comment on the YouTube, and I just have to completely say, like, that's not the only way to have PTSD. And in our community, we shouldn't be making it seem like you didn't do enough. You didn't live somebody's experience. You don't know what they did. Like, I don't think going after somebody's mental health and saying it's not enough just because you were deployed is like, I just can't leave that comment and not say something. But then we can go back to not being qualified.
Well, I don't think he's qualified. He served his country, absolutely. Did he do a great job? Sure. Is he high ranked? Absolutely. But is he the best one to handle the DOD at this point? I don't think so. No. I'm in the minority. I am in the minority here. I know I am, but I am like, man, we have to watch what this person does, because they're going to, he has said, I'm going to make changes. I want to change the VA. I want to change the military. And I'm like, okay. But people,
now, if they were in Kuwait, bro, it is service connected. So
and anything that happens in service is service connected, not just while you were deployed. So if something happens in the barracks, like I saw active shooter incidents in the barracks, that
training exercise, dude. I've heard of helicopter crashes that didn't even leave fucking base.
What about the fact that more people get hurt and killed in training accidents than got killed in combat? And I asked the person because I've seen that coming before, Tab, and I'm just for a second. I've seen that coming before. Well, you didn't serve in combat, so you couldn't have seen PTSD. Well, the numbers don't say that. And to me, getting hurt or killed in training to me is worse than getting killed in combat because it's supposed to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You think about some of the crazy stuff we all did at night in mop gear, so on and so forth. The fact that more of us didn't get hurt, it's amazing. Right? So who am I to say that somebody didn't get PTSD because of something they saw in training?
Yeah.
And so please,
Willis and I weren't even a month into the fleet yet. And we had one of the guys that went to boot camp with us on a fire and maneuver range, moved over in front of the saw gunner and was killed with a month into the fleet. This was 1997. What wars happening then?
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, there was a guy that was in boot camp that the cycle before mine, who, as a recruit, he saw one of his drill instructors end his own life.
Yeah.
During the swim qual, went to the high dive, took an M16, said, ears open, sir, eyes click, sir.
Yep.
Everybody looked up and he boom. And there was, I can't imagine.
The entire platoon.
Yeah, the entire platoon scarred for life seeing something like that. Dude falls into the pool. You're in the pool. I would be scarred for life, dude. Like, these are the people who I'm entrusting with my training. And a lot of these kids are, still 18, 19, in their maybe early 20s. And they're a lot of them away from home for the first time. And that's what they see.
Yeah.
Like, that's terrifying. So,
and I would just hate for somebody who's in that situation to say, you know what, I'm being told I'm a wimp or a baby for wanting to get help for it because this guy told me that I should have personal integrity and not go and carry that weight the rest of their lives.
Yeah, that's messed up.
And Travis, to just bring up this point, he doesn't directly affect the VA, but he has indirect effect on the VA, and he controls how the military members are going to transition while they're active.
William made a good
healthcare
comment.
Policies. He also controls all the active duty healthcare facilities that the VA people like us use. Retention and all that stuff. He has other ways that he could affect how veterans are treated and dealt with after service. And
does it say at all about affecting like disability compensation or your like education benefits?
He has no real the SecDef has no real pull on the VA stuff. Now whoever gets put in charge of the VA can make some changes, but they're not going to be able to just go and like everybody that I kept hearing over and over again, Project 2025. And I know a lot of people were like, oh, they're gonna end it all, but that's just a think tank, and the liberal side has their think tank, and they come up with some crazy ass ideas on both ends of the spectrum. So, but back to the point that yes, that guy may have said a lot of things about the VA, and if you need healthcare and you have VA healthcare, you need to go use the VA system.
Yeah, because I'm a full-time, and I'm not working, and I'm using my GI Bill and collecting my disability, and I just got it increased finally after years and years of fighting with the VA. So with that being said, that would be devastating for a veteran and like me or others that are in my situation where they get out, they transition, and they utilize their GI Bill, and they're not working full-time jobs because their schooling is demanding so much time.
Yeah.
And
I guess my concern and that clip I pasted in there was from years ago, but he's going to be able to affect discharge statuses, criteria for discharging, how you're
even criteria for enlisting.
Thank you. I mean, that's where I'm like, wait a minute. I mean, okay, you saw something you want to get out. We're not going to let you get your honorable. We're going to give you an other or maybe even a medical and really kind of make you work for this. And then, when you go to get those VA benefits, well, you don't really exactly meet the criteria.
But
hopefully the vice
realistically,
president,
what did he do?
the vice president helps out with some of this shit. You know what I mean? He's a Marine. We finally got a veteran that's going to be, in there that can hopefully be a voice for the veterans. We'll see how he, whether he gets political or, kind of, I imagine he has to go somewhat political, but also got to be in there and be there for the veterans, be there for the active duty, be there for the ones still serving, because he was boots on the ground, and I know everybody want to say, well, he was this, he was that. Still, he's boots on the ground, went through boot camp. He's a fucking Marine. And so he knows how to
but
be
we
a Marine.
We had general officers that during his last term that we thought were going to stand up for us too. And it wasn't.
No, I know, I get it. No, I'm just saying we'll see what happens, bro.
I will say,
I'm hopeful.
I will say
someone that can speak up for us.
I think that's the coolest thing about this election, that both VPs were enlisted.
Yeah.
I think that's something alone, like when you look at that, like, how many of us, especially like on the enlisted side of the house, or when the transition comes, like, oh, you were only this, so you can't be this in the federal sector, or you can't do this, or you can't do this. And it's like, well, here was a great example. Here are two enlisted, both on the ballot as vice president. And I do think that was something that it was surprising to me that wasn't talked about more. I did not feel like it was hardly talked about. The significance of what that means.
I think that the only things that were really talked about were Tim Walz's fucking
the embellishment of service.
Yeah, like how he lied about service and where he was and this and that.
But
those are all like
we're all knuckleheads.
Yeah.
So
like, what I mean is, like, that's what the main talking point that you hear about that was, and all that. So
all right, so let's check in with Miss Pippa real quick, because over there in the UK,
she's 1 o'clock in the morning.
They don't have a VA over there, so let's check in with her and see what her take is on this situation and how they do things with the healthcare within the UK.
So yeah, we don't have the VA. Once you leave the armed forces, you're onto the National Health Service, which I know divides opinion outside of the UK, but it serves us. So what I find really interesting for what you're all saying is, firstly, it gives me hope, this conversation. It gives me hope for your country, because if people like you are having these conversations, and other people are having these conversations, and I think whenever you look at it from a media point of view, the media is designed to divide. And so as long as you can keep communicating, then that division does lessen. From the comparison, though, of what the VA does versus what we get, I think it's there's worlds apart. It's a fantastic system, and I think, Travis, you're right to be concerned about who leads it and how it's led, because it does such a service. So, and I've talked this through with Willis and Sam earlier this week. In the UK, once you leave the services, it's a bit of a lottery. A lot of the support is provided by the non-profit sector, so we don't have a dedicated central point. So whenever I hear about the VA, I'm like, keep that shit going, like preserve it at all costs, because even in its imperfect form, it is that central focus. And I don't know, I don't know how you, well, I guess you do what you're doing. You lobby your senators, your legislators, and make sure they understand the importance of it. But I do think, as I said, Europe is more left leaning in comparison to the wider America, at least currently. But I don't think any of this is the end of the world. History happens in cycles. This is another cycle of a 4-year thing, which some stuff will go well, some stuff won't go well. Geez, it's politics. That's what happens. Some people will be pissed off, some people won't be pissed off. That's politics. For me, it's always a case of, okay, so how do I look after my community? How do I support people around me? How do I keep having conversations and not resorting to anger and fighting? And I think as long as you guys are doing that here, then there's always hope.
Well, thank you, Philippa, because I wanted to ask you all, We have 10 individuals here right now. And one of the things that we've forgotten to mention about this election is the power of the podcast, right? The very simple fact that people had a platform to tell stories from. And, regardless of which side used it better than the other, the fact of the matter was it was used. And I get this all the time. Like, why do a podcast? Why should I start a podcast? Or does that podcast really matter? At a very high level, yeah, it did matter. But it also matters here right now with what we're doing right now. There's 10 voices here, 10 different perspectives. And here's the thing that people are really scared about is that even though we're all different, we all might agree or disagree, or we're from across the pond, and Thanksgiving Day is partly due because of our British cousins and kicking folks out in the UK, Philippa. But be that as it
Would you like
may.
to call it Mass Genocide Day? You're welcome.
Be that as it may, we're all here right now. And that's the thing I think some people really fear is that if we all crazy mofos get together and come together and unite, wow, look out. And so I see this thing as a groundswell. We all have our own shows, our own outreach, our own things that we do. But when we come together like this, we're united. And unity is hard to get over. So well done, all of you. And I'm glad to be here.
And I'd like to add, I mean, the whole power of the podcast is also sharing different perspectives, right? Being able to not only listen to what you want to hear, but also share the different opinions, right? As you mentioned, I mean, we're all being affected by this in many different ways. And maybe not just me, right? Or maybe not anybody in this phone call or event, but others that we represent, others that we have the voice for. And that's part of our responsibility. I mean, all of us that we served, we served for the majority of us, either before or after. We feel this innate form of protecting the rest of the people that we are surrounded by. And at least by sharing our voice, letting our voice be heard, and talking about them, protecting them to the best of our ability, it's a huge ground for moving forward. And I love the fact that not everyone in this whole podcast event looks the same. I mean, I'm sexier than all of y'all, just for the record, except for Tab. But that's besides the point. You know what I mean? We're all here. We all
It's all right,
became
David.
united.
You look pretty handsome to me, buddy.
Right.
I'm sure he does. I'm sure he does.
It must be your day in the barrel there, Chris.
Hey, there's no more don't ask, don't tell, right?
Right.
You're the little spoon. Just remember.
So, Mr. Ty Cobb, you haven't been on in a while. Welcome back. Let's hear your perspective on some things.
Well, I mean, I've been listening to the podcast a lot, and I go back and listen to them afterwards. But I agree. Coming together is the best thing we can do. Having differing opinions, because a lot of times you'll get stale if you're just in an echo chamber the whole way. And I agree that it's a bumpy ride. I've said on my podcast that I didn't vote for President Trump, but I agree with most of the policies. So I understand that there's difference in opinion. I understand that there's different ways that things will be carried out, but all of your points, they all seem legit, because I'm worried about Hegseth too, from a experience factor, what he's going to do. I'm worried about the fact that the cabinet is being chosen more for their loyalty to Donald Trump than their
popularity
or than loyalty to the Constitution. So these are all things that are alarming to me, but I'm just going to see what happens and try not to get too upset when what I want to happen doesn't happen, because I mean, like you said, we're all talking about this, so that means other people are talking about it. So there's things going on. The world will be fine. And whoever, I forget who said it, but whoever talked about the media causing division, I absolutely believe that, because we talked about it on our podcast. How are your neighbors going to be changed if Kamala Harris won it, or if President Donald Trump won it? I don't know what would actually be changed. These are all idealistic things. So, I'm in it to see what happens, because we definitely need force protection for America. we definitely need to change some of the economy things, some of the trade deals between countries. But we'll see what happens. I mean, it's an ebb and a flow, and it's definitely two ends of the spectrum.
I think a lot of people need to start holding their state, their state representatives of accountable. We live in our states, right? And these are the people that we should be holding accountable for the way that we're living or for the way that, we're being taxed. I think that they have way more control over the way we live currently than a president does.
So
yeah, I also think people need to remember that that President Trump likes to stir the pot. So he should win the award for the biggest pot stir ever, because he'll say one thing completely crazy just to steam up everybody to pay attention to what he's doing.
Like the MSNBC thing that just happened a couple days ago.
I got a
I heard about that, and that was wild.
So I got a comment up here on the screen, and since we have somebody who's from the UK, let's get her response on
that. So the simple answer is yes, but these things are never simple. So the people who have gone to prison for what they said on the internet have seen things like, we should barricade the mosques and burn people inside it. We should go and murder asylum seekers. We should go and stab random people. So under the UK Terrorism Act, these are acts of terrorism.
They're stating, like they want to kill people, and
it's not a case of, I hate everybody, they're all wankers. So if I can say that on this podcast, sorry.
I hate your opinions.
Yeah.
I love the shirt.
That's why I like that.
That's awesome.
That's a good shirt.
So it, the way the media portrays it, and there is outrage about that. Are the prison sentences justified? Possibly not. I think a lot of these people, again, it's the group thoughts situation of everyone's got a bit worked up, everyone's got a bit mad, people have said things they shouldn't have said. But you have to question what sort of decent person would ever go, it's okay to lock everyone up in a building and burn it down. Yeah. This is not a healthy thought process. This is not a rational thought process. And it's not one that's come out of nowhere. There's been precursors to that. Now, when they would act on it, but that's not the point in these situations. So the short answer is yes. The longer answer is there is precedence for it.
I think that what's really awesome about the First Amendment is when somebody says something really dumb, well, you now know that person is really dumb.
Right.
You shouldn't call yourself out in here, Chris.
What's that, Yogi? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you. I have a filter on.
Well, freedom of speech doesn't mean freedom from consequences, though. Like, there's a big difference between freedom of speech and freedom of consequences.
And there's consequences for everything you say.
Yep.
Yeah. And I mean, that comment there that in Britain they are putting people in jail for what they say on the internet. Well, guess what? They're doing that here in America as well. If you're terroristic threatening, you have the possibility of going to jail. Might not be prison.
Domestic terrorists.
Yes,
it's a thing.
So that happens here in America as well. And I'm sure that happens. He said he lives in Brazil. I'm sure it happens in Brazil as well. If you say the wrong thing on the internet, they're going to come.
They stone you in Brazil.
Well, it's just like what happened. There was that one picture that was going around social media. I don't know if you guys had heard about it, but it was a picture that was saying, "Don't search XYZ," whatever it was. And obviously people on the internet are going to see this post and they're going to go search it because they're expecting it to be like a big schlong on some dude, right? And it's just like, oh, you trolled me, ha ha ha. But in reality, it was like some link to child. Stuff.
Yeah.
And when you search that on a Facebook search engine, like in your search bar, you're flagged immediately. So it's like, say, you could say the same thing with terroristic threats. It's like, why are you looking that up? Why are you saying stuff like that? That like Filippo was saying, they're not normal thoughts. Those are not normal, healthy things to say or comment, and unfortunately, a lot of the people on the internet nowadays, all around the world, not just in the United States or in Britain or anywhere, you say what you say on the internet, and you think that you don't have consequences to those things. So it's like, I kind of agree with that in a way, because it kind of weeds out those people who are, inciting those kind of things to happen. And you're inciting to burn mosques. That's not only racist, but that is also inhumane,
despicable.
Right? So, why would you even feel the need to comment on that, or to say something like that on a platform that your face is going to be plastered for the whole world to see, right? Yeah. So in certain ways, I do think that social media can help with that, and kind of targeting those groups of people who are doing things like that, and kind of putting a watch on them. But at the same time, the double-edged, sword, social media is also extremely toxic, and it divides a lot of people. And everybody thinks they're right. And if you don't agree with my opinion or my point of view, then, I hate you, and I'm going to, look up your information. And then next thing you know, you're getting jumped outside of work when you're leaving for the day or some crazy like that. So, yeah.
All right. So here's off of military.com. So we're going to change speeds up just a little bit. So this is military.com. White House pressing Ukraine to draft 18-year-olds so they have enough troops to battle Russia. And then it goes to say down here, Washington, President Joe Biden's administration is urging Ukraine to quickly increase the size of its military by drafting more troops and revamping its mobilization laws to allow for the conscription of troops as young as 18. What do you guys think about that?
I don't agree with our current administration really trying to urge anything on for another country when we're having as many problems as we are as a country with our own citizens. And I also, I hear that the only reason that Biden had the whole, you can fire American missiles into Russia and gave Ukraine the green light for that was because North Korea got involved. So, North Korea sent troops to Russia. So now America is like, go ahead, but do I think that we need to try and dictate what they should do with their military so they can keep the war going? Absolutely not. I think the whole thing is dumb and it needs to end, period. But who am I?
Yeah, I agree with you there. I'm not really sure, why we're involved as much as we are. It's really a mystery to me. I mean, I think in the vernacular, I know why, but it's still like, why are we involved to this degree? But also, this is going to sound cold, but anything that keeps American lives from having to be sacrificed on the altar of this war, I am for. And so I'm not really happy about the missiles being used because it's escalating things when we're trying to de-escalate. But by the same token, I think our NATO neighbors need to have more skin in the game than we do. And we have certainly, in terms of, resources, given that, except for lives. And Ukraine thinks that we should come over there with our troops and die for them. And I'm not feeling that. I just don't see the need.
I totally 100% and right behind you, Travis. The problem is in 1994, us in UK talked the Ukrainians into giving up their arsenal of nuclear capability. And that's why we are stuck in this. And that's because we talked an organization from or a country from being able to defend itself from the most likely person that would try to invade them again. And we shot ourselves in the foot, flash forward, 30 years later to today.
And I mean, really, with that, again, I agree with Travis too. But as far as American lives being lost, I think it's more of a deeper level of how that can affect our global relationship, right? Because if Ukraine is using American missiles to fire at Russia, and America is saying, do it. Russia then has the opportunity, and North Korea and China and all these other, allied nations to now have a target on America's back. So now
retaliate. I mean, we got bases that are close. I mean, I go to Japan every year, and there's a rocket that gets fired every year towards Japan.
Yeah.
Over there.
So
why do I think that this is
even here in America, which is the scary part? What's really to stop Russia from having an attack hit American soil? What's to stop North Korea from having an attack hit American soil? Because we're giving Ukraine the ammunition and the weaponry that they need to fight Russia. That's bad.
Yeah.
Well, I think.
But again,
go ahead, Philippa.
So then, from my point of view, this is a rehash of the Cold War from the point of view of we never fight directly. Yeah. We have proxy players, and I think from a UK perspective, so we've also armed, we have also trained. The UK has taken in a lot of Ukrainian refugees as well into the country, but there is a fear around Putin now that wasn't there, and although he's been in power, I mean, Willis and someone knows I've got a degree in Russian, so I did a lot of Russian stuff. I lived in Russia when Putin was president the first time around, over 20 years ago. That Russia is a very different Russia to the Russia of today. And when the Cold War ended, we all kind of thought, hey, we're all mates now. Democracy rocks, well done. That hasn't been the journey for Russia, though, because you can't go overnight from being a dictatorship to being a democracy. It is a journey. They're still on that journey. And now I feel more than ever, from a UK point of view, I don't think we know how to behave, because we don't have people who have served in government who remember the Cold War. We don't have the armed forces that we once had. We know we don't want a direct conflict. But what point does arming, training, cheering flags at the back become a direct conflict? And I think that's the same thing that you guys struggle with, is how much is too much? What is appropriate? I also think it's very convenient that Ukraine is in Europe. And we talked about discrimination and racism earlier. I feel very strongly about Afghanistan and how that was ended very quickly and not seen through. And I look at the treatment of Afghan refugees in the UK, who we had to withdraw very quickly because of the way we ended things there. And they're still living in hotels, not being processed for asylum. And Ukrainians got to live in houses with people because they're welcomed as guests. Why? Because they're European. I don't know if that was like a conscious decision for everybody, but that's the undertone. So where do we draw the line? Like, why do we do one and not the other one? And if we keep throwing resources into this, how long before we get bored of this one as well? There seems to be no thought into the so what of how long these things last.
Yeah. And Travis, what were you going to say?
Well, the one part of me thinks this is just a big feint, because the more attention on Ukraine and what Russia's doing, the more entrenched China can get around Taiwan. And I say that because you know my son works for Bath Iron Works. He helps build the Arleigh Burkes, and so studying that and what's going on over there, the China has done several exercises where they try to encircle Taiwan, and that to me has much more far-reaching effects for the global populace than what's happening in Ukraine. So it almost feels like it's just, the elephant in the room is being distracted from while this is going on. And I just hope that we are not falling headlong into World War III. I could be wrong, and maybe I'm being, sensational, but I don't think so.
I think that this is a heavier geopolitical topic that any one of us are privy to.
Sure.
We can assume from whatever the media is feeding us. And we are also seeing the media from across the world, from the United States perspective only. We're being censored across, whether people want to say it or not. There's only one narrative that is being said, maybe two max, but we're not boots on the ground. We're not there. So there's no real perspective that we can see on either side of any conflict, right? So you have the Gaza conflict, you got the Israel conflict, you got the Ukrainian conflict, you got the Taiwan, the China. So all these are conflicts that are happening anyways, right? And what role are we as Americans playing into it? Well, one of the biggest ones that we're playing into it is the media, right? Why? Because all of the world is tied up to our media. What we say, whatever narrative we say, is what we digest, regardless of what facts are the truth, right? Do I believe that it is a whole bunch of redirection, planning, strategic things all the way across? Absolutely. That's what politics is about, right? Across the world, putting in whatever government, whatever president is narrating whatever story is convenient to them and to their people, right? We are getting fed whatever information is convenient for us. Do we get more of the diverse left and a little bit of the right? Of course, because we want to have different perspectives. Because if everybody says the same thing, then it doesn't make sense, right? Our antennas go up and they're like, oh, they're lying to us. But if we're hearing a little bit of a different perspective from both sides and we're like, oh, well, I know more about this and I know more about that, and then who cares about the world, right? And at the end of the day, what can we do about it, right? So we just put our hats back down and we just keep on going forward. So I think my perspective is the only thing that we can actually do is take care of us, our veterans, brothers and sisters, take care of the people that are around us, make sure that we're happy, make sure that we feel the love, make sure that we're pushing forward. And yes, if we can share different perspectives, different narratives, awesome. But at the end of the day, are we in any position of action to be able to move any of this forward or any position of influence? I don't believe so, right? I might be wrong, but that's just my 2 cents on the matter. And I love y'all, and I'm here for y'all.
No, I think that what you're saying though, I think us all having podcasts, what it does is, and what it shows is the power of the story and the narrative and what we do. And so bringing it back to the veterans, there's this perception that all veterans are broken and that if you have PTSD or all these things that you're broken. And yes, it tried to come from a good place, maybe sort of, probably not, of 22 a day and all of this, but just because we may have mental health or these things does not mean that us as veterans that we are broken and that we're not thriving and all of these things. And so I think it's then us again, what we are doing by just allowing people to tell their stories on our platforms or talking about things in different perspectives, it is a driving force. Change, and maybe this is the Irish in me, but change happens and can happen literally just from telling a story. The power of stories and people talking holds so much value. Again, when we talk back to this election and how it was won, podcast is what won this election. We can say that it was not the media like other ones.
Mm-hmm.
It was podcasting and other things. But I mean, when we're talking media and sharing stories. And so it may seem small, but even our podcast or even this can have an impact. Maybe it's not the one where we need to sit and dissect these oh, what's going on, sure, but at the end of the day, stories can have power, and that's what we're doing, right?
And it's also algorithmic too, with going back to what Yogi was saying, with whether you're getting a little bit of the left or a little bit of the right. Another one of the downsides about social media is algorithms, and what you're constantly seeing is tracked on your phone. And if I were to talk about night vision goggles for an hour straight with you guys, I would see advertisements for night vision goggles on my
I will see it because it's my phone sitting here and you're talking about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, now we're all gonna have it on our phone. Thank you, Siri.
Yeah, well, whatever. It's first thing that came to my head. So, but realistically, it's algorithmic, right? So, if you're constantly researching stuff about the left or the right or the Ukraine, issue or whatever the issue is, if you're constantly researching that, your phone is tracking. And what does every single person who's 10 years old and up have? They have one of these fucking things. So it's you're constantly being fed that information, and that's swaying your opinion and your point of view and your thought process, and that is affecting your decisions going forward. So kind of backpacking off what Tab was saying, it's very important for the people who do have a platform and a voice. Even for me, being a musician, you know, music's very powerful to speak about stuff like that. So, you know, whether it's podcasting or music or art, whatever you want to do, you know, all these different platforms and different, you know, expressions, they have a meaning, and I think it's very powerful to be able to push those things out there, because a lot of what we do see is algorithmic. So if you can kind of break the algorithm a little bit and maybe put some fresh, you know, stuff in your audience's ears that might, you know, have a different perspective, then I think it's working, and it's benefiting everybody for the greater good. So
what's kind of funny that it's kind of funny that you went into the whole social media kind of thing, because I really had this queued up right here.
Me too.
So there's an article.
I call dibs.
So I'm gonna read the first little paragraph of the article here. So this is on military.com. It says, in January 2020, the U.S. Army and Navy banned the Chinese-owned TikTok app on government devices after the Department or Defense Department labeled it a security risk. The ban has since been extended to all branches of service, includes DoD contractors. But despite the security threat, is TikTok still the military's best recruiting tool?
Yes, it is.
Yes. If
Yes,
that's where
it is.
people are, it's the best recruiting tool, period. And like public affairs here, okay? That's what I did in the Marine Corps. Public affairs.
I was a recruiter, so let's talk about that too.
Right? I was public affairs on recruiting duty.
I'm cyber. No.
It
bad.
is. But you can
It's very bad. It's so bad.
No, I'm not
Chad.
on TikTok. I'm not on TikTok. That is not what I'm saying. What I am saying though is it is where the people are. So does the military need social influencers? Yes. We need influencers. Why do we take educators to the workshop every year? It's just another platform.
It failed.
Dwayne Johnson. That's not an influencer. When we say influencer, and this is the issue, we're not looking at going viral. Okay. And Sam, you can talk on this. Recruiters who went viral on social media doesn't mean they had more contracts.
Yep.
The recruiters that found their local teachers, the local coaches, the people in the community and use social media that way, they were able to utilize it. Every year for Educators Workshop, MPAs, which is the Marketing Public Affairs Marines, struggled to get people to attend. I use social media. I would literally, because I created a network of influencers, could use social media saying Educators Workshops coming up, put in your application. I constantly had applications 40, 50 over. Social media can be used. We can't, it's there. The more we pretend it's not and that we can't use it. Now and I know what article you're talking about because I follow Teresa Carpenter and I love her and she was quoted in it. But from a public affairs standpoint in the military, the issue with the social media influencers is them making money. That is the issue. Yep. You can create your brand while you are in and kind of use what you're doing. But as a service member in uniform, you should not be making money. Why? Because that's like if you were promoting Coca-Cola. It's like if you were promoting this, which you can't do in uniform. On social media, if you're using your uniform as a social media influencer, then you should not be getting monetary kickback from things, period.
I disagree. And this is why I disagree. Because how else can you prepare yourself to transition out without doing that? You're building your brand. You're building your persona of who you are, right?
I don't make any money on my podcast, and my brand
neither
is
do
great.
I. Full transparency. Neither do I. We're actually negative a lot of money, but that's besides the point, right? But if you have the ability to create your own persona, and regardless of whatever content you're putting out, is giving those people an ability to set themselves up for the future, right?
It's no different than somebody going and delivering pizza in their off time.
But you have to get that approved. You have to get that approved. And there's currently no. If you are in the military, you cannot get a job anywhere else without getting approval. You have to fill out a form. It's the law. You can't disagree.
No,
you have
depends on
to.
the chain of command.
Hold on.
You have
to. A chain of command.
It's up to
and
the chain
some
of
chain of commands don't even care whether or not you have a job. It might have been in law many years ago. It changed. Now it's given to the commanding officer. And correct me if I'm wrong in this area, but for us, at least in the Navy, it is up to the chain of command, and sometimes it is up to the work center supervisor whether or not that person, depending on what they're doing, can handle that. Is the same thing as them going to school, right?
But they
But
have to fill out information to know you're doing it. Like, I'm a federal employee, a civilian federal employee, and I have to get approval to do anything with money. If anybody pays me anything, you're a federal
yes,
employee if you're in uniform. So there has to be, first and foremost, an approval process, and it has to be tracked, and everything needs to be tracked, because you're not representing yourself. You're representing the Marine Corps, the Navy, the Air Force.
but that's why they quote
are owned.
themselves. That's why they quote themselves. My social media is my voice, and I don't represent the department of anybody else.
It's not if you use your uniform
If you're in
in any of
uniform,
the
it doesn't
content.
matter.
You do not represent yourself. Period.
So would you?
You're
So
owned.
would you tell me? Would you tell me right now that the captains that are setting the example across the board, across all the branches, captains, 06s, 05s that are also going on social media, that you're telling me that they fill out the paperwork to do it correctly?
Are
and
they
setting the
making
example
money?
right?
Are they
are.
making money on it?
The
Then
ones
yes.
that are making over 300,000 followers because they're promoted in the military, of course they're making money.
How do you know who they're making money from?
What do you mean? TikTok themselves or any social media or Instagram, if you're making a certain amount of views and you're clicking a certain amount of views, you are making money.
No. Only if your account is set up to do that.
You have to request.
You have to request that. I have managed social media accounts for over 15 years. I have managed social media. You do not just get money for having a certain amount of followers.
Correct.
You do have to have it. Yes.
You have to set that up. So to be able to do that.
You're telling me right now that if we Google certain people and we get their information, which I don't think we are, because that's going down a way different rabbit hole from what we're talking about, right? Because the whole question at the beginning was, does the military need social media influencers?
Yes.
And I say yes. Full agreement in that, right?
Yes.
Why? Because just like you mentioned, we are in an absolute crisis, right? And the narrative that is still being portrayed to some people is that we're baby killers. We don't have any morals. We're the worst people in the world, right? As a matter of fact, and I'm going to put myself out here, I went to a class here in college, professionals, right? And this professor, which really, not only did she break my heart, but it was, to me, very, 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 very dirty, her perspective and how she was influencing hundreds of people in her classes. And she was saying that the military was nothing but a toxic waste, that even though she's a single mother, right, and she's asked the schools for help, the primary resource that they give her is ROTC for her son to get a male influence, and that because of that, the government was striking her in order to get her son into the military. I told her, first off, you're talking about completely different entities, right? And it's just completely wrong what you're saying. Your perspective, I get it, if it was from the 1970s, the 60s, but the world has changed. And as someone who has served for 22 years, this is not what I observed in the military. There's been a lot of changes, and there's a lot of positive and a lot of good that came out of it. But because you have those people that are narrating those stories, we're not able to talk about the positive and the great things that the military does for us.
Do you know why teachers do that? Do you know why teachers do that?
Tell me, please tell me.
So let's start at the high school level. High school administrators, the principal, the guidance counselors, get graded on how many people they send to a 4-year college degree. Okay. If you go to a tech school, their grade comes down. If you go to the military, their grade comes down. This all started back in the late 90s, early 2000s when I was a recruiter. I had to fight against that every single day and show them that people in the military are getting more out of the military than they are in college. And you can go to college while you're in. Now it's 100% tuition assistance. It wasn't before.
Mm-hmm.
So all that changed when I was on recruiting duty. So all the administrators are getting graded on how many people they send to school, not how many people they graduate from that post-secondary education. but how many people they sent. So that started way back, whoever was the president then, it had that No Child Left Behind and all the other crap that started. But that's why even into college now, that all these professors get graded that way. That's why the narrative is what it is, because they are very, very uninformed.
And the thing is, so recruiters and colleges have to be supplied the same name. It's called a recruiter supply list. Every branch of service gets the name. So she is somewhat accurate in the fact of, yes, your child is being tracked in regards to your information gets sent. And the only way for your information not to get sent to the military is for you to opt out your child and they not be sent. And there are schools that their funding can be taken away if they remove children from the armed forces list. That's what recruiters work off. They look at these lists. So the list is out there, yes, but you're not technically, I mean, you're being tracked, but not like because of any reason besides like you're a child that's in school. So recruiters have the list of, in public schools, every kid that goes to that school and their grade and their phone number and how to call them and contact them. That's the list that all recruiters work off of.
As long as they have to give recruiters the same amount of time that they give the colleges to come in. There was one school I could go in once a year for an hour. That's it, because that's all they offered the colleges to come in. Other schools, I was teaching phys ed. I was teaching history. And I was teaching Marine Corps history to the period that they were talking about, as long as it aligned with the Marine Corps. And, some schools were great about that. And that would be the bonus question on their test. Or for me as the recruiter, their midterm was the initial strength test for the Marine Corps. So I already knew I had the list from the ASVAB that said, okay, he or she is smarter. They're a box of rocks. And then I could give him the initial strength test. So I already knew who was pre-qualified before doing the medical stuff.
Look.
So as long as they provide college with the list, they have to provide the Marine Corps with the list. What was that, Travis?
All right, I'm going to pull the pin on this whole conversation. We need to transition, indent, new paragraph. Look. Thanksgiving is about 4 hours away, 3.5 hours away. I need to know this. This has been on my mind all night. I can't stop thinking about it. And I got a good sample size right here. What is the favorite dessert for you all tomorrow?
Pecan pie.
My Reese's peanut butter pie.
Okay, we're tracking.
I got nothing. I'm so full after having like 4 or 5 different pizzas for Thanksgiving. Yeah.
Mince meat pie.
Pizzas.
Yes. It's a tradition in our house. My dad is allergic to turkey. So
Theory came on late, so he didn't get
he missed that part. So we do turkey homemade pizzas. But we're not near them now, but I always give him year after year the option. You guys want turkey since grandpa's not here, or do you want homemade pizzas? And it's homemade pizzas.
Homemade pizza. Okay, we got
homemade pizza is pretty cool.
Peanut butter pie, meat pie, homemade pizza.
Mince meat pie. Yes.
Tab.
We don't celebrate Thanksgiving.
Okay. All right. Moving on, Yogi.
Just make a bunch of food and call it whatever.
That's what we do. I got crab legs. I'm excited about some crab legs.
We do that for New Year's.
Now when we get to New Year's, I'll talk about all the things we do for good luck.
Right now, Yogi's up. Yogi, go.
So I love pecan pie and I love ham. I never enjoyed the turkey. No, not on it. Come on.
You had me confused.
Like a
all of us,
bacon pizza.
All of us were like, bro, that is a really awkward concoction.
Okay.
Pecan pie and ham. Tab and I were like right here. We're like, what is going on?
Yeah, I had questions about
Did Travis notice and nobody else did?
Mr. Ty?
I think my favorite is going to be homemade apple pie, but then my wife makes these little cranberry things that have like the dried sugar all over them, and they're real tart and sweet. Like that's become like crack over the last 7-8 years since I got out of the military and we moved here. So she started making those. That's pretty much the favorite now.
I need that recipe.
Cranberries?
Yeah,
I'll send it to you. I'll get my wife to. I'll send it to Willis. He can send it to you. It's fucking crack. It's crack.
What about Willis? What's yours?
Mine's gonna be like the double thick moist brownies with caramel inside of it.
Ooh, yeah.
Philip, I'm gaining weight just listening to all of this.
My wife and I can never agree on anything for Thanksgiving because we only go back home to Chicago, where I'm from, for Christmas, because Thanksgiving is not really a huge holiday for my family, and my wife doesn't really get along with her side of the family, so we don't ever really affiliate ourselves over there. But we never agree on anything. So like, I love turkey, like actual turkey. So she doesn't like turkey as much. And I tell her every year I'm cooking a turkey, and she does a ham. So we have turkey and ham.
There you go.
And then I picked out the dessert. She told me that I could pick dessert. So I was like, cool, I'm going to get something that I know everybody in my household likes. And my wife loves Reese's. So I picked a Reese's peanut butter cup pie. And then she goes, I don't want that. And I'm like, what the fuck? so it dove into, no joke. It dove into this whole thing where she picked out a pecan pie, and then a pumpkin pie, and then a Hershey's pie, and a bourbon butter pie.
Ooh.
And now I was like, okay, so those are 4 different pies that we have for dessert. That's outrageous.
What are you having for the meal?
Philippa, hold on, Philippa.
So then it was, I have to sneak in my Reese's peanut butter cup pie. So there's 5 pies in my refrigerator right now. And I don't know what I'm going to do with them, because I know we're not, that's basically almost 1 pie for everybody in my house. And I'm like, I'm not going to eat this whole fucking thing.
Wow.
But for the food, we have the ham, the turkey, stuffing. We got mashed potatoes, mac and cheese. We're going to do baked mac and cheese. I'm really excited about that.
Theory, I'm going to be at your house, man. I'm fueling the jet. I'll be at your house tomorrow, homie.
Come on, bro.
Philippa,
Five
what do
pies.
you what do you
No.
have?
Philippa,
What do you eat for Thanksgiving?
Dundee cake. Philippa, can you tell me about Dundee cake? Do you make Dundee cake?
What is Dundee?
I do not make Dundee cake, but I can. I've eaten it though. I'm trying to think what's in it.
It's a classic British dessert that I've had before from this old British school marm. I'm telling you what. It almost,
what is it? Like, what's in it?
It's more like a fruit cake. It's basically fruit cake, to be honest. Do you have fruit cake?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we eat fruit cake? No.
Absolutely.
So fruit cake is like what we have at Christmas. So a Christmas cake is a fruit cake with marzipan and icing around it. A Dundee cake is just the Scottish equivalent that they have all year round, basically. But I don't like fruit cake, so no. But I tell you what I do love is pancakes, but like totally European, like crepe, as opposed to, no offense, the American ones, like the thin ones. And I'll always have crepe.
All right.
There was a comment, and I have to say it. Did you guys hear about what happened with the butterball turkeys?
So that's an old video.
Thing back in 2006. Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
But like my neighbor told me about that today. I I was in his car, and we were going to his brother's house to get this gun case, and he goes, "What kind of turkey did you buy?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I got it from Kroger. I don't know. It just said fucking turkey on it. I don't know."
My 18-year-old told me about it. I'm like, are you serious?
Yeah. So apparently it's old. It's back in 2006 that this happened. But there were people before the turkeys were slaughtered.
They were making some love to the
they were sexually assaulting the turkeys and then slaughtering them. So people were saying, if you get a butterball turkey, which is like the #1 brand of turkey that you go buy, that you may have some extra ingredients in your turkey. And
that's why Bohan.
Caroline's like, I'm glad we do pizza.
I went home before I found out that this was an old accusation, right? And that this has since been totally wiped.
But it's never going to go out of my mind.
I went into my fridge and I looked at my turkey, and I fucking studied my turkey. So I looked at that thing so hard.
It's where the giblets go.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, I'm so nervous now. Now I feel like I can't make a turkey, and I love turkey. So I was like, now I feel like you just ruined my whole Thanksgiving. And then I did some research. Thank God for my cell phone. And I researched it and saw that was an old case from 2006. But I was like, I ate turkey in 2006. So now I'm still kind of slightly disgusted and wondering if I ate baby gravy in my turkey at some point.
Oh, well, if they were doing it before, they were
fucking weird, dude.
Yeah, but that's when they got caught. So imagine the years prior.
Yeah, but it's like people are fucking weird. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, why?
Oh my
It's
gosh.
so
God.
weird.
Tab's in complete shock. She's like, "What in the world?"
Maybe that's what my dad was allergic to.
Don't shoot the messenger, man. I wasn't the one violating the turkeys. I'm just the messenger.
But
Right?
now I feel like we
But
gotta
it's quite a
monitor
lot.
the comments. Like now I'm like, dang, something should be ignored.
Yeah,
It
well,
was
Willis
possible,
has
and I was
control.
like, look,
Willis is the one that put it up on the screen.
it'll be humorous,
Oh my gosh.
right? So
Oh God.
fun stuff. But no, that was terrifying. I just can't imagine.
Well, that was enlightening.
I needed that. Thank you.
We kind of
You're
went down a
welcome.
good little rabbit hole there.
So I
I
got
don't
like
know if it's a rabbit hole, turkey hole.
well, I got 10 minutes left, guys. So I do want to I want to ask my one last question
All
because
right.
I'm getting ready for Christmas season. I got a good sample size here. I will die on this hill that
Oh, here
Die
we go.
Hard is a Christmas movie.
Absolutely.
Huh?
100%, yes.
Lost my headphones.
Yes. Yeah.
100%.
No contest.
Yep.
And so is A Christmas Story. If you're not watching A Christmas Story on Christmas Day, you're wrong.
Agreed, but I've never seen Die Hard, so
We watch Die Hard
What?
every year.
Tab.
We watch Hans Gruber fall off the building every night.
Don't
at
ruin it
midnight.
for. Don't ruin it for.
We watch
Tab.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Do you have like Netflix or one of those streaming platforms?
yes.
Do you have
You need to check it out.
I don't have the attention span for movies, so if I didn't watch it as a child, probably not.
Then you're in trouble. You could be like my husband, right? We start a movie, even if we go to the theater, he's asleep after 5 minutes. Like he's just out.
My daughter wanted to come hang out and say hi.
He's a cutie.
Hello.
My wife is in chat, y'all. So we know what that
Oh.
means.
That
It
means
means,
it's almost time for Willis to wrap
That
it
means
up.
we should have left already.
We need to start wrapping it up.
As soon as the butterball turkey conversation came up, she's like,
Yeah.
all right, that's it.
Before
We're out.
that came
Pull the
up, we
plug.
should've-
All right, so we're gonna do
meet
this like we
again.
normally do.
Happy
We're gonna go around
trails
the table, and we're gonna do closing statements. I'm gonna go last, so we'll start with my buddy Mr. Theory up top. We'll start you off.
Yeah. I suck at this, but just all in all, I love the veterans community. I'm very honored to be a part of this conversation and to know you guys and be on some of y'all's shows. Some of you guys I haven't hit yet. Hopefully that changes soon, but it's just an honor to be part of such a caring community that we can have these healthy discussions with, because everybody's voice matters. And, I really believe that if you're open-minded, you can truly do what it takes, or at least participate in doing what it takes to make a difference. And that doesn't necessarily have to be on such a large scale. Making a difference where it counts is also on the smaller scales too. Affecting a few lives is still helping. So as Willis always says, be someone's stranger. If you know anybody who's struggling, definitely be that ear for them. You guys already know about me. You can contact me whether I know you or not. I'll show the same consideration and love and care. So I hope everybody has a really safe and enjoyable holiday. And I look forward to seeing all of you guys next month. So love you guys, and new music on the way, new music videos on the way, and show some support, show some love.
Love it. Love it. All right. Who's next? All right. Let's see. Let's go. Miss Carol Lee, you're up.
Well, I have to say, with Thanksgiving, a few things I'm thankful for. I am thankful for each and every service member here that we have that is, in the military currently. Very, very thankful for our veterans and for each of you that I have gotten to meet, get to know, and become, part of a wonderful network of people. So thank you all for that. And, just hope everybody has a very wonderful, safe, happy Thanksgiving. And, just watch out for your fellow person.
Awesome. I love it. All right. All right, Miss Pippa, you're up. Closing statements.
First of all, thank you all for having me. It's been a privilege to be here. I think for me, it is obviously your Thanksgiving, but the message of Thanksgiving is one of acceptance, of gratitude. And I think this community is one that everyone can be grateful for. I think the conversations are so important, so keep having them. And I think you've already said it throughout, but keep looking out for each other, keep being that change that you want to be, and never ever underestimate your own power, your own light that you bring, and never underestimate the fact that change starts tiny. Like transformation isn't a big thing; it's a small step each day. Just keep doing that. Thank you.
No, I love it. And we've already been told that you need to come back from now on. So
Yep.
You're definitely going to get the invite back. All right, Miss Tab, you're up.
This is actually the first time that I've been able to stay on long enough to close it out. So awesome for that. But we didn't get to talk about it. Reese Across America Radio and Toys for Tots this time of year is not the easiest or the best for a lot of people for many reasons. So I always like to shout out Toys for Tots, donate to your local Toys for Tots, and Reese Across America. So down there at the bottom, Reese Across America Radio, you can donate to a wreath and getting a wreath laid. So those are two organizations this time of year that if you have any extra funding, definitely make a donation to them.
Awesome. All right, let's go with Mr. Travis. You're up.
Just simply say that I am grateful this year. A lot of stuff has happened to remind me that, besides all the chaos and confusion and just craziness this world has, it's times like this when I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful that I serve my country, and I'm always pumped when I get to hang with other people who did the same. So I want you to enjoy your time with family and friends tomorrow. My favorite dessert is blackberry pie, and I love fruitcake. And here's a bonus. Here's a bonus. I like anchovy pizza with mustard on it. Have a good one.
I like it. All right, Yogi, let's go, Yogi. Let me find you. There you are.
All right, fam. First and foremost, I want to tell you that I'm thankful for having you in my life. Right? Everybody talks about transition being very difficult, finding your next why, your community, and it's true. I have been blessed by having you in my life. Because of you, you're allowing me to have this transition and be successful. For everybody that's listening, if you're about to start your transition, or you're going through your transition, or you have already been out for a while, continue to reach out to yourself, take care of yourself, and be a part of this. If you made it this far into this episode, right, you get to find out publicly, and this is the first time that I say this, that I am, if you're in California and you're going to a community college and you're a veteran, a spouse of a veteran, a dependent, or somewhere associated with the military, and you're going to community college, I am now your official representative for the caucus of the veterans across the state of California. So if you need anything, please reach out. There's plenty of ways for you to get a hold of me. Yogi@miltobed.com, and then my Instagram, my YouTube, my everything, even the TikTok Chris created. He's a terrorist, not me, for the record. But yeah, thank you. Love you, fam.
Awesome. All right, Gunny, you're up.
Just remember, you're not alone. You still have worth. You still have value. Those hard days, just read back to boot camp and your deployments, and those days are even harder. So just, you're here for a reason, and there's somebody out here that loves you.
I love it. So I'm going to wrap it up just by saying, guys, I appreciate everybody who is part of the tip of the spear, because when I conceptualized it, I was like, look, this is what I want. I want to be able to have a safe space where we can all come together and have conversation and not get mad at somebody because our opinion differs. And we've built a great network of veteran podcasters that are very like-minded. We have great guests that come in and chat and keep the conversation going, regardless if it's a little dark or not. But like we always say, you can go up to somebody and say, hey, how you doing? But you have to ask that next hard question, because any human more than likely is going to lie. They're going to say, I'm okay, I'm hanging in there, I'm living a dream, whatever. But you have to ask that next hard question. How are you really doing? And you have to be ready for that conversation, whether it's a 5-minute conversation or a 15-minute conversation to a 5-hour conversation. You have to be ready for that conversation. And then, like Sam said earlier, you're not alone. Like Gunny said, you're not alone. And then also hashtag be someone's stranger, because we know as humans, we are more apt to talk to somebody who's a complete stranger than the one we love the most, because we want to protect them. So be somebody's stranger, be somebody's ear. So definitely. And then I'm going to wrap it up. If you missed the beginning of the show, I'm going to wrap it up with Marine Corps veteran Theory, who's on here right now. We're going to throw his song up, and then we're going to play the outro. But like we always say, stay safe out there. We got your 6.
But they don't hear me though. But they don't hear me though. But they don't hear me though. When I hop on the beat, I'm gonna be something like an oddity prodigy. Oh my god, he be rocking these beats of modern day Socrates. I'm unlocking the lock with no key. I'm not what they thought I would be. No mockery, fucking to see my cabinetic curiosities. Twilight zone beside my bone. I'm split. I need like 5 mics on inside my dome. There's no lights on. You get what I mean? I'm bye gone. When I write my song, really wanna bite on like snakes. I say, better get pythons. When I write my wrong, despite how long they never wanna break or be bygones. Mind of a comic, always thinking of new material. Out of the box, the way I kill these beats is serial. Even though the verse is hot and blasting through your stereo. They don't really hear me though. They don't really hear me though. They don't really hear me though. They don't really hear me. They don't really hear me though. They don't really hear me though. They don't really hear me though. They don't really hear me though.
Yeah, it's time to clock in again, hopping the wave, get to the booth, make draws, start dropping again, stopping, never been no option, cause my competition been flopping again, topping the 10 best rappers coming out of my city, got them all sobbing again, plotting to win, but I got a question, when is hip-hop gonna start hip-hopping again, Haters mobbing again, shocking to see them all start flocking again. I'm gonna get the mic cocked, but I can't let y'all's blood get on my conscience again. I'd rather fuck your girl and after take the bitch shopping again. And she gonna come back knocking again, sopping wet, gotta start mopping again. Guess they never give a fuck unless I'm popping pills, sipping lean. Y'all say anything so you can cop a deal, so it seem. I've been proud of all my shit, I keep it real, being me. But if I gotta really rap, I shoot to kill, R.I.P. And they don't even know. Been giving y'all this heat, you sleeping and it really show. It's time to wake them up with shit that make the speakers blow. But they don't really hear me though.